Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. Today let's discuss about the mechanism of the respiration, as we are already done with the introduction of the respiration in my previous lectures. So let us start, but for that we need to understand about how the oxygen is made available to our cells for the oxidation of the carbohydrates or for the oxidation of the glucose. So let's learn about it. The first step that would be the exchange of the gases, because we need to know how the oxygen is made available to the cells. So first of all, we have some in our ribs. We have the muscles called the external intercostal muscles and the internal intercostal muscles. But among these two, the external intercostal muscles are responsible for the normal inspiration and expiration. And these intercostal muscles, like internal intercostal muscles, they are responsible for the forceful inspiration and expiration. So how they help in the exchange of the gases, let us discuss it. First of all, the inspiration will take place. Inspiration is also called as the inhalation. During the inspiration, the external intercostal muscles and the phrenic muscles, as I have already told you about the phrenic muscles, they are the muscles which join or which hold our this diaphragm with the vertebral column and the ribs. These external intercostal muscles, phrenic muscles and the abdominal muscles, they contract. Once they contract, the thoracic volume, or the volume inside our thoracic and the volume inside our lungs, that increases. When the volume increases inside our thoracic cavity, the pressure decreases. There is a dip in the pressure, air pressure, and the air just rushes from outside towards our thoracic cavity. Air just rushes in. What happens at this time? Our rib cage, it moves outwards and it moves upwards also. That's why the volume inside the thoracic cavity is increased and the air rushes in. That's how the inspiration or inhalation takes place. Now, what happens when we exhale? That's called expiration, or when we exhale the carbon dioxide out of our lungs. At that time, these external intercostal muscles and the phrenic muscles and abdominal muscles, they just relax. When they relax, they push our thoracic cavity inwards. And what happens at that time? A contraction is produced. Because of this contraction of the thoracic cavity, the ribs move inwards, they move downwards also, and the lungs contract. When the lungs contract, there are around 300 to 400 million alveoli present inside them. They get squeezed. And when alveoli get squeezed, these alveoli, the carbon dioxide is already present in them, and it rushes out from our mouth. It moves into the trachea and then from pharynx, and then it moves out. Now, you are already, now I hope you understood what is inspiration and expiration, what is inhalation and exhalation. So we inhale oxygen and then we exhale carbon dioxide. But in between these two processes, you need to understand that when the oxygen is inhaled or air is inhaled, how this oxygen is mixed with our blood. That is a key factor for the respiration, because when oxygen mixes with our blood, then only it can reach our cells and the oxidation takes place. Oxidation of the food molecules takes place. So what happens once the inspiration takes place? The oxygen is present in your lungs. The air is present in your lungs. Along with the oxygen, it carries oxygen also, and it moves into the alveoli. So inside these alveoli, the barrier, the walls of the alveoli, the membrane of the alveoli, and the membrane of the blood capillaries, it's just around 1 micron. It means it's around 1 by 10,000th of 1 centimeter. It means if we divide 1 centimeter into 10,000 parts, then जब हम 1 सेंटीमीटर को 10,000 हिस्से करेंगे, वो एक हिस्सा कितना उसमें से बनेगा, उतना ही बैरियर होता है between alveoli and the blood capillaries. So it is very easy for oxygen to diffuse inside the blood. Now, why this oxygen diffuses into the blood? There is another factor called the partial pressure. The partial pressure is actually the pressure of a particular gas in a mixture of gases. So partial pressure of oxygen in a mixture of gases inside the alveoli, or alveolar air that is present in our this air that is present in our alveoli, that is around 104 mmHg, millimeters of mercury, and at the same time the oxygen, the oxygen present in our blood capillaries around the alveoli, it has got the partial pressure of around 40 mmHg or 40 millimeters of mercury. And now, what happens? A pressure gradient is created because there is the difference in the huge difference in the pressure. A pressure gradient is created because of this pressure gradient. The oxygen that it diffuses from alveoli into the blood capillaries. Same happens with the carbon dioxide also. The partial pressure of the carbon dioxide in blood capillaries is just 45 millimeters of mercury or 45 mmHg, but at the same time the partial pressure of the carbon dioxide inside the alveoli, that is just 40 mmHg. So it will also diffuse from higher pressure towards the lower pressure. So carbon dioxide diffuses from blood capillaries into the alveoli. Now you know that how oxygen it mixes up with the blood. Now this blood, around 100 ml of the blood carries 20 ml of the oxygen. And that is around 3% in plasma and 97% in the erythrocytes or red blood cells. So we have oxyhemoglobin. There is a hemoglobin present in the blood. That hemoglobin mixes with this oxygen to form the oxyhemoglobin. Carbon dioxide also, which is present in our blood, that is the total amount of the carbon dioxide. Among that, 7% of the carbon dioxide is present in the form of the carbonic acids, and then 70% is present as bicarbonates, and then 23% as carboaminohemoglobin. But what happens? This carbon dioxide, it is present in the hemoglobin has a tremendous affinity towards this carbon dioxide. But this carbon dioxide, because of the Hamburger's effect and the Halden's effect, it moves towards the plasma. It moves out of the erythrocytes, and then when this carbon dioxide is carried by the blood towards the lungs, what happens? That, as I have already told you, because of the partial pressure difference, it moves inside the alveoli, and at the time of the expiration, it rushes out from our body or rushes out from our lungs.